Tansy, how are you?
Hi, Aspasia.
Hi.
I'm really well, thank you.
Nice to see you. Where I found you now? Where are you?
I am now in southwest of France,
Oh,
in France profonde, very, very deep rural France.
nice. Yeah, we really hoped you could travel in the Netherlands to have you here, but unfortunately the circumstances didn't help. Well, already we have started the whole week rehearsing in Musis in Arnhem, and today we started also with recordings. In this third edition of the Andriessen Festival, we play three pieces of you. We play Destroying Beauty from 2008, we play the Feather and Groove for a larger ensemble from 2015, and the Dark Ground from 2005, right? Exciting, I have to say. I have a few questions for you, if you can give us some light. For Feather and Groove, actually, I found very interesting. I would say that you have this kind of structure open instrumentation that intrigues my interest. And my question is, do you give often this freedom in choosing the instrumentation in your music, or it was specific for this piece?
It was specific for that piece because it was commissioned by a group called the Contemporary Music for All, which is a really good organisation in the UK where if you can pick up an instrument, you can play some contemporary music. And so it's a very wide range of not only instruments, but also expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really interesting challenge for a composer, and it's a difficult one. And, I wrote the piece some years before. I can't remember when the first year, actually, before this revised version was that the piece was done. And I can't even remember what I did when I revised it, but clearly, it's a difficult thing to get right.
Yeah.
So, but it's a lot of fun, and it's been done in this incarnation, a few times, and every time it's very different.
Yeah.
And that's what's so magical about it. I mean, one thing in my music is I love to hand over as much as I can to the musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And but that isn't obvious. It's not obviously very much because a lot of my music is highly detailed and asking a lot of the musicians. So you wouldn't think of me as someone who wants the musicians to be free, but of course I do. It's a question of finding where you can be free. And so I'm constantly trying to find a way for my language to be to meet the musicians in the right places. And so and this piece has just been so much fun, just to see it grow, to see it go out into the world and be really, really useful, especially in COVID times. So it's a huge thrill. It's been a practical piece, and not only that, it seems to be a piece that people enjoy playing. And it sounds a bit like Zappa, I think.
I agree.
And at the same time, it's not tremendously difficult to put together. So that's very rewarding for me, just to see it's become a useful and fun piece.
I have heard in the internet a version of this piece, and I have to say now, because I follow all the rehearsals, it takes really exciting path with this instrumentation we have imagined. And this was I was wondering if where's the moment that you can let it go from controlling the texture of where's the moment that we can hand this to the musicians, because maybe some moment you have one kind of not pleasant surprise if ensemble use something that maybe you couldn't even thought about, but maybe this is also the magic, that you hear the piece in the different versions that you have not imagined, and this adds something in the piece.
It does, and I think that is where my experience as a composer comes into play, because I think it's probably the case that there won't be a wrong performance.
Yeah.
Because it's that open, but it's secretly quite closed as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love what De Ereprijs are doing, and the instrumentation is just...
Yeah. I'm also very happy. How very strong, and the violin was really nice. Yeah, looking forward to hear.
Unique interpretation, which is really exciting.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question for you for the Dark Ground, also very special piece. Actually, I'm very fond of percussion music, and you have done something with a very few means. You have done something very special, in my opinion. And when I was reading your program notes, you say, in Dark Ground inhabits an imaginary space where a ritual takes place. And my first question, I will go a little bit in conceptual, let's say, stadium of your thought. How easy, when you have a concept, this is translated into music? What kind of steps you get?
Well, for me, that is something hard to analyze, because it's something I do really naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very intuitive composer, but at the same time I'm very analytical.
Yeah.
But I try to kind of just channel rather than make a plan. So I do use patterns and methods of organization. And for me, that is because I don't use a functional tonal system.
Yeah.
I've got to create something. So each piece has its own sort of world of laws of physics, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just try and have a conversation with those when I'm composing. So it's a combination of finding some material which I think has potential, and then applying different techniques to that material and seeing how it reacts, and then I react to that.
Yeah. So it's interaction, actually.
It's interaction, and it is often the case that I do sort of compose the whole piece at once. So I will play around with an idea I like, and then I think I've got enough rules to get me the whole piece.
Yeah.
But that's only a kind of long range vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, when I get down to actually kind of almost physically working with materials, then I'm breaking all the rules all the time, and it's much more sensual.
Yeah. No, I recognize what you're describing. I could say that so far I have heard from other kind of other pieces you have a strong relationship also with a rhythm. Your pieces, they have really drive. Can you tell me a little bit more? What kind of relationship you have with the rhythm? How you treat the rhythm in your music? What position takes? You have a natural relationship, or can you tell something about?
Well, I think rhythm is something that it's kind of not very high up on the list when it comes to a lot of classical music. And for me, it's really right at the top.
Okay.
Because I've found that if I have, let's say, a line of notes, which could be a melody, but that's just pitches and they don't have any rhythm yet, I can try different rhythms and it will make completely different, shed completely different light on the notes. So I think of it as really a kind of, almost like a kind of a massive lighting effect. It can change everything. The rhythm is such an easy thing to bring into play, as it were. But many composers don't use it, and it's just so fun and so effective. So it's been really, really important for me. And I think in terms of kind of large scale rhythm and sort of structural energy, where one section transitions into another, I think a lot of that kind of drive that comes into my music is probably coming from like pop music and jazz and funk and things like that, because it's a different kind of forward motion than the classical music that I like.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I will go to another now subject. By listening to Destroying Beauty, actually it's like a little gem for me, different than the other two pieces, very beautiful. I wouldn't dare to start putting labels because I don't like labels, but I hear qualities in your music. If I wanted to describe what you are doing, I hear this drive, I say, the earthy quality. You have this spirit and presence. I want your opinion when someone tries to categorize or to try to find the signature of a composer. How you feel about this? It's where you place yourself. You like all this categorization, style, its quality. What is happening there?
Well, I think it's not for me to say, but it's absolutely fine for other people to categorize it.
Yeah.
I don't, in theory, I don't mind at all. And then sometimes, occasionally, someone says, "Oh, your music's like this or like this," and I'm like, "Ah!"
No.
But of course, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And it helps us to just talk about what we're listening to, and it's very hard to talk about music.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's wonderful to hear your music through someone else's ears and say, "Well, that sounds like that," and I'm like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I suppose I move through the world quite quickly in some ways, and so I'm always changing. So I'm a very adventurous person. I get bored very easily. So I hope that there is some kind of core that people can connect and feel does kind of reach across a number of my pieces, or if not all of them, who knows.
Yeah.
But and I hope it doesn't sound like it's jumping around all over the place. But if it is, well, that's the nature of it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. What are you working now? You do something big, something small?
Well, I've had the lovely pleasure of having some small pieces for friends during COVID times, because that's what we've been able to do. But just this week, actually, I accepted a commission for quite a large string orchestra piece, which I'm really, really excited about, because when I was composing my recent horn trio for Corps Circuit, the French group, I created a lot of material which I couldn't use for the horn trio, because I realized I needed a big body, probably strings for it. So I just put it to one side. And then I had a very fortunate experience that the Orkest Festival, who had planned to feature me as a composer this year in their festival, who knew what was going to happen at all, if there was going to be any festival, but it looked as though, fingers crossed, it's going to happen, but in a different form. So there'll be a weekend of my music there, which is obviously a huge honor. And I have this new string orchestra piece in that, alongside another string orchestra piece called Dune of Footprints. And both of these pieces are, again, a kind of a different journey for me. They're much more meditational pieces.
And why? Is connected with what we are experiencing at the moment, or is another?
I think it's more to, I don't know. I think it's just to do with, I just always want to discover new spaces and create new spaces. And so when I wrote the Dune of Footprints, it was here actually, And I really love composing down in this very rural location in France, and it was near this cave, which is in the Pyrenees, which I've visited many times. And I wanted to create some music about that cave. So it's about a sort of a journey through kind of DNA memory into ancient humans, like 40,000 years ago. What was it like in the cave? And then actually I made an opera about that too, which that music became a part of. So it's a continuation of that sort of kind of way of just creating a space and looking around that space.
Nice. Wow, looking forward. Nice.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna see each other anyway next week again online for the Young Composers meeting. From Apeldoorn, me, you're from France, and all the rest of the people from different sides of the world. Looking forward to see you actually live in the Netherlands. And tomorrow make all the recordings, the rest of the recordings, and I hope you enjoy. In the website we're gonna place for 1 week, and wish you to have a very good evening, and till very soon again.
Thank you. It's a huge honor to be part of the Young Composers meeting, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the performances.
Yes, me too. Be well. Bye.
Bye.